Well, hello there, girlfriend. Ingafay here. Super excited to be here with you today. And I want to talk to you today about how to fix the gender pay gap. So I have one of my girlfriends with me, and we are here to share more information, and we'll see you on the other side. Well, hey there, Gwendolyn. How are you doing today, girl?
I am doing wonderful, Ingafay. How are you doing?
I am doing very well, girl. Super excited to be here with you. But we want to get in your business before we actually talk about this gender pay gap. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, who you serve, and how you serve them.
Absolutely. So, Gwendolyn Tucker, I reside in Memphis, Tennessee with my husband and best friend forever. We are in business together, but I spent an awful lot of time in corporate, in college. I started in publicly traded companies in paper manufacturing and spent all of my corporate career in paper manufacturing. And so now what I'm doing in our business, I have created ZAP, the Gender Pay Gap, to show women in the workplace how to close and fix their gender pay gap. My target market is women in the workplace in Fortune 500 companies because my experience is there. And also women ages 30 to 45 are the window of opportunity, because that is the time when women can actually make a huge impact with their pay by closing the gender pay gap. So in a nutshell, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. So you said that you were in the paper mill industry initially when you were in corporate. Are you still, you're serving women in all careers and in corporate, correct? It's not just in the paper mill business.
Absolutely. Of all industries, the experience that I'm leveraging in helping women fix their gender pay gap is what I learned in corporate. Actually, I'm an accountant and CPA by education and training. And so I have had the opportunity to work with individuals across the spectrum in terms of industries. And so, yes, I work with women in a broad array of industries and professions.
Awesome. So I'm curious, what kind of reactions or responses do you get from people when you talk about the gender pay gap?
Three responses typically. Oftentimes, there is a segment of women who are really not familiar with the gender pay gap, or what is called the female to male earnings ratio. And it's sitting about at 83%. And what that means is that for every dollar men earn, women earn around 82 or 83%. And it's been hovering in that area for about 20 years now, since actually 2002. And so oftentimes there's disbelief. People are they haven't heard of it, and so they're just really shocked. Others, they will question the number. You know how if you're as an engineer, you know about precision and about being precise, and
Right.
if there's a question about, is it 83%, is it 80%, and so sometimes people will argue or debate over the number, but then there are others who will be open-minded and take it in. And what I encourage women to do, for those who are hearing it for the first time, is to not only take my word for it, but do some research. And you will find that the gender pay gap is actually real and affecting quite a few women in the workplace, not only now, but it also affects every other benefit that's based on pay.
Interesting. So when you say every other benefit, can you give us some examples of that?
Absolutely. I have a friend who she's actually retired now. And so not only does it affect your base pay, being consistently paid and earning less than what your male counterparts are paid, it affects your retirement benefits. It affects your pension. It affects your Social Security benefits, because what is your pay? What are those benefits based on? Any benefit that's based on and calculated using your base pay, it affects all of those benefits.
Wow. So then that would be taxes as well then.
It would, yeah, your taxes would be lower, but guess what? I would rather have more
Oh
money.
no, I'm with you on that now. I mean, you just said, that just registered to me. Okay, well, it has the taxes too, but yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I want my money up front. Yeah, I feel you on that for sure, for sure. I remember I was reading an autobiography about Mary Kay Ash, and one of the reasons that she had actually created Mary Kay for women was to get over that because she had experienced that herself, and I think this was like in the 60s. I believe that it was 50 cent on every dollar that a woman, that was the pay gap. It was 50%. It was 50% compared to the 83% today. So that's crazy. I mean, you think about it. Yeah, that's like crazy, crazy. So what do you tell people? I mean, how do you help people resolve that? Or is it resolvable?
Yes, absolutely. It is resolvable. One thing that I encourage women to do is to understand what is the pay range for their current position. Just about a month ago, I was sitting talking to a group of HR professionals, and I didn't ask for a show of hands, but I asked them, how many of you know the pay range for your current position? So you need to know not only the pay grade in terms of what your job title and range is, the range that's connected with your position. And then what I also encourage women to do is based on in that range, what is your salary? Are you at the midpoint? Are you below the midpoint? Above the midpoint? What is your position in the range? And what should dictate your position in the range is your performance, as well as the number of years that you've been in that particular role. I was just talking to someone, a young professional, actually just yesterday, who said that she is 50% of her midpoint. So basically, she's in the lower 25 percentile of her pay range, and she's actually been in that position for at least 3 years.
Wow.
So I encourage women to, first of all, do some digging, kind of put on your Sherlock Holmes hat, to be able to kind of do some research and find out what is the range of pay. And what am I earning compared to where I am in that range? The other piece I just shared on my podcast this week around, because I've been talking about not getting left behind, is actually being able to test the market, do some market research. Search PayScale is one of the firms that you can take a look at, or I think Glassdoor as well, but definitely PayScale, to look at what is the market paying for someone at your level with your skills. What kind of commensurate salary would that be? So I encourage women, first of all, to do their research. Some people might be tempted to, barge into their boss's office and demand a raise, but I like to go prepared, and so I encourage them to do their research first.
Interesting. Yeah, because I mean, I have been out of the corporate world for almost 4 years now, but I never could envision going in somebody's office and saying, hey, based on this pay scale, I'm, like you said, your friend was the lower part of the pay scale and she's been in her position for 3 years. Are they going to be willing to pay you? I mean, how does that work when it comes time and you do your research, you do your due diligence, and you're ready to go talk to your boss? Do they actually pay them more, or do they end up having to leave to go somewhere else? I'm just curious how that normally works out.
One of the things that I encourage women to do is know until you ask, right?
That's right.
So you don't know until you ask. My research indicates that companies are planning to grant strong raises for performance for 2023 or in 2024. And so what I would do is to do my due diligence. I would have a conversation with my boss to ask, I actually share an experience. I've overheard this conversation in an eatery, but the gentleman asked this young lady, so if I ask you why I should give you a raise, what would you say, or how would you respond?
Right.
And I would ask you to prepare yourself for, if your boss asks you why you should get a raise, what would you say?
Right.
And many times we go with, I think, I feel, and I actually heard this young lady say, because I work hard And I was like, no, 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 because working hard is not going to necessarily get you a raise, right?
Exactly.
So I encourage you to do your research. And I encourage you to come with the evidence, come with some facts. Why should you? What is your contribution? How do you calculate your contribution? You're an engineer by education, and I am an accountant. And so we know how important numbers are and being very
Oh, yeah.
objective,
Yep.
because you can defend objective numbers.
Right.
And it's more difficult to defend subjective numbers. And so I would encourage them to have a conversation with your boss. We're coming up at the end of the year. The timing of this, of us talking here, we know that at the end of the year, if you're on a calendar year, your fiscal year is on a calendar year, you know that in the spring of the year, you're going to be getting word about whether you met, exceeded, or did not meet expectations.
Exactly.
And you're also going to be getting some information about the percentage of whether you are going to get a raise and what percent that is.
Right.
And so that's what I encourage women to do, is to be well aware of the pay system that they're currently in.
Interesting. Now, I'm curious, what kind of feedback do you get from women when you tell them about this? Are they hesitant to make sure they have their I's crossed? Well, their I's dotted and their T's crossed when it comes to making that having that conversation with their boss, or are they hesitant?
I think a couple things, responses. Of course, there's some discomfort, and I encourage women to role play. I encourage them to prepare before they go in to have the conversation.
For sure.
And so some are afraid, right? So their fears arise. And so the question is, what can I do to build my confidence to be able to go in and ask for a raise? I've done a whole lot of research, and I'm actually doing some research on pay transparency as well as pay equity. And even with pay transparency, many times women, we ask for less. We settle for less. We don't ask. And when we do ask, we ask for less. And so I think that a couple of things arise. You can be fearful because you don't know what the outcome is going to be.
Exactly.
But we always know that it's always no until you ask.
That's right. For sure, for sure. Yes. So is one of the preparation items to be cognizant that it may not go your way and that you may have to go somewhere else to get the desired result that you want?
Absolutely. You always have a plan A and a plan B, right? It's interesting. This week's podcast and last week's podcast, I shared 8 huge mistakes that women make when it comes to getting a raise. And one of the mistakes was that we don't start looking for a new job soon enough.
Oh.
It's kind of like we get very familiar, get comfortable where we are, and we begin to settle because it's comfortable.
Right.
And so I encourage women to keep your resume updated. A mentor of mine said this to me years ago. Every year, update your resume, stay current, and also keep your network open so that you have a network outside of your current organization. And so one of the things that I do is to be able to, because my coaching is one-on-one coaching, because pay, there are so many emotions tied to pay.
Oh, yeah.
And when we start talking about something as confidential and as emotional and all of that has those connections to it, one of the things that we do is to create a safe space to be able to have this conversation, to be able to express whether they feel comfortable, uncomfortable, but be able to build their confidence and prepare them so that when they are going in to have this conversation, that they will be better prepared, and to know that it's not one and done. It could be where you have a conversation where you pitch it, then you might have to go back and have another conversation. Yeah. And so it's not that either I won or I lost, right?
Right.
It's a conversation.
Right.
And one of the things I always encourage, and I have something that when I work with clients about a boss relationship kind of assessment. Typically, when I have cultivated a good relationship with my boss, we can have some candid conversations.
Right.
But if I have a very low level of trust with a prospective boss, it's more difficult to have that conversation.
Yep. Yeah, that communication is the key, right?
Absolutely.
For sure. That is so powerful for what you said. I know when I was working, I don't think I knew that what you were talking about even existed. But that's really good to know, because I guess it gives you the flexibility and really the confidence to know that you're not stuck. That's first and foremost.
Absolutely.
And that when you have that plan B and that plan A, like you talked about, you don't feel as nervous if they, for whatever reason, don't meet your expectations, where you can truly make a decision and know that you can decide whether you're going to stay or if you're going to leave.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is, it may not be that you have to leave the company.
Right.
It could be that you could leave that division. You
Right,
could leave
exactly.
that team, right?
Yep.
Because I've had a situation where I actually moved to a different division or a different team, so within the same company. So what I'd like for your audience to hear is that it's not always either stay or go
leave.
somewhere
Right.
else.
Right.
It could be, do I stay or do I move up or within another part of the organization?
Right. Right. I think that's very key for you to say that, because that has a lot. I mean, I think that really kind of puts some people's mind at ease, because it doesn't have to be one and done, that if you don't make it in this particular organization, that you're done with the company. I know, being that I was in a major corporation when I was worked there for over 20 years, I moved around all the time, actually moving to different cities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you can do that same thing as well. What about those that are located in one area and they want to stay in the area? Maybe they don't necessarily want to move physically from where they are, and the company is rather small. Then what do you suggest in those type of situations? I guess it would be to leave.
I think a couple things. It's because where you are in your life at this point in time, you need to make a decision that works and fits for you at this point in time.
Right.
After the pandemic, there are so many companies who have opened up remote work, right? Where you can live anywhere.
This is true.
And work for anyone in a global organization. And so being able to open up and see what are some other opportunities that may not require me to move physically from where I am, because I'm around family, my children are in school, whatever the situation is. But you can actually work from anywhere and be able to be remote and still enjoy what you want on that personal side as well as the work side. But I think it involves surveying the land. And at the end of the day, you have to make the decision that's the best decision for you at this time. At this time, because no one else can tell you what is best for you at this time.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree. Well, girl, this has been good. You gave us some juicy information.
Thank you.
So what would be an action that people could take after listening to what you shared with us today, to get them started? Because we definitely want them to start. We don't want them just to consume what you just said and say, oh, that's good. That sounds good, and not do anything. Let's get them into action, girl. What can be one of the first or a couple of things they could do?
I would love it if they would search for ZAP, ZAP, the Gender Pay Gap. That's my podcast that you can find on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, on Google, on a number of platforms, where you can actually go out and listen to the series that I did and completed just this November, is to not get left behind, right? That women, oftentimes when it comes to pay, we get left behind. But what can you do to not get left behind? So I would love it if you would go out and listen to a couple of my podcasts to be able to hear the information that I share, and then to be able to determine what can you take from what I share and apply it to your current situation. I would definitely say, if you do not know the pay range for your current position, please find out. Your boss should know, and your HR representative should know. But I would love for you to check out my podcast.
Awesome. So I know you had given me your website as well. Is there a link to your podcast via your website? Can they go to your website and connect to your podcast, or do they need to go to those search engines that you just mentioned?
No, they can actually go to GwendolynJTucker.com. and actually access my podcast there.
Okay.
And I would love it if you would reach out to me on LinkedIn and let me know that you actually heard about me from Ingafay's podcast. I would love it if you would reach out to me there. That's another way to reach out to me as well.
Okay, so this is your link right here. So if they want to connect with you on your website, they can connect with you there, and they can also get access to your podcast there as well. So you guys will see this link here, and I'll put it down in the description as well. Awesome. So before we go, I wanted to make sure that we've covered everything. Do you have any kind of freebie that people can connect with you? If they listen to your podcast, you have a freebie that they can connect with you and possibly get more information from you outside of what you have on your website?
Absolutely, yes. I have actually created an ebook that you can download, and it is to not only to show you how to identify if you're caught or trapped in the gender pay gap, but also how to fix it. And so there's a bonus section where you can actually go in and calculate what your difference is, and you can also go in and determine how to develop your plan to actually fix your gender pay gap.
Awesome. I figured you had a freebie. Just make sure that we had that information too. So you guys, she has already told you what to do. Go to her website. You can get access to her podcast. You can get access to the freebie. You just have to take the action to do this, so you can get, if you have this gender pay gap, that you can work on it and do your due diligence to get rid of it. So, because we deserve to get paid. I mean, most of the time, and I'm going to make a generality here, but most of the time, women are more detailed than men anyway. So we probably doing a better job as it is, and we getting less pay. So y'all need to handle y'all business. So go to her website.
I tell women, I said, women, we work hard for our money.
I know that's right.
We'll take home all of it, right?
All of it. And we got all these other stuff that we juggling in the midst of that. So yeah, handle your business, girlfriend. Go on to the website, get your stuff taken care of so you can make all the money you're supposed to make. Okay. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.